can't start coming and they don't stop coming. Fed to the rules and I hit the ground running. Didn't make sense not to live for fun. Your brain gets smart but your head gets dumb. So much to do, so...
Welcome everyone to the Omniverse of Nick, and part 1 of 2 to the next story on the channel, bringing back Marvel What Ifs, with What If Sandman Didn't Join Venom, the remake. Before we get into this though, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe to the Omniverse of Nick, so that way you can help me make this channel bigger, better, get more awesome stories pumping out, and just generally support the channel. And with all of that goody good stuff out of the way, let's get into this 2-part tale of this story. Now, if I didn't already mention it, and if you guys didn't already know, this is the remake to an oldie I did when I did Marvel What Ifs. What If Sandman Didn't Join Venom, the remake. Now, about 2 years ago, I made the original, and like many others, I could have done better. Now, don't get me wrong, I did this one decent, but No Way Home wasn't out yet, and there was a few parts in the tale that I felt I could have done better at. Not as much as my other stories, which needed remakes, and still do, mind you, but I just felt like this story, among many others, needed something better. A better looking into the story, which is why there's 2 parts to this. So let's set the scene and begin this tale anew. Now, story starts off as normal. Sandman encounters Venom after being attacked by Tobey's Spider-Man with the Venom outfit in the sewer tunnels. And Venom, Eddie Brock, tells Sandman about teaming up with him and wanting to get back at Spider-Man, Tobey Spider-Man, just to specify which movie this is for those of you who don't know. Now, initially, Sandman would revel in this chance to team up with Venom, and like he did, but this time, something changes. He notices this isn't Spider-Man. Yeah, he knew that it was him before, but it's different. He seemed possessed, controlled. And that part about Ben Parker got to him too. Seeming there was more to Ben Parker with Spider-Man than met the eye. And just all of that welling up and seeing this creature now, Eddie, it just resonates with him that it's not worth it, especially for his daughter, and he refuses. Eddie says, "That's a shame. Would have thought that you would have reveled in the chance to make Spider-Man beg for his life. I know I would, and will. You're not worth it. I feel sorry for your daughter." And with that, Venom just bounces away. And Sandman's left to stew in his own thoughts, and eventually he goes and finds Tobey's Spider-Man and tells him everything. Basically the end of the 3rd movie's twist told earlier in the movie. And says he doesn't expect Tobey's Spider-Man to forgive him, but the reason he came to find him now is because he saw what he was like in those tunnels, and that black suit got onto another person. Guy's name is Eddie Brock. He wanted to have his help to kill Spider-Man, but he turned it down because he saw what the suit did, and it's not worth it, especially for his daughter. But he is willing to help Tobey Spider-Man to beat him and just to amend. And Tobey says he forgives him, like before. The 2 shake hands, and the 2 put together a team up against Venom. Meanwhile, that same Venom is bouncing around the entirety of the city, angry. He can't believe that Sandman literally turned down the perfect chance to get at Spider-Man. Now, here's a problem. He's alone. Who is he going to find to team up with him? He could beat Spider-Man, but what if Sandman pops up and helps him? that could very well be the case. He could still kill Spider-Man, get some kind of leeway, but it's not going to be easy. It could kill him. But then he sees something. Someone flying in the corner of the distance. It's Harry Osborn on the glider of his father. And now Venom has a plan and confronts Harry and says, well, isn't this a surprise? And then he pretty much spills over what he did to Sandman in a different way to Harry, saying that Harry should know better than anyone what it means to have something taken. After all, Spider-Man took Harry's father and took a lot away from him. He should revel in this opportunity to kill Spider-Man. And Harry, he looks at Eddie. He knows him. Not as much as Spider-Man, but enough. And especially with his memory all jacked up and everything, like what happened to him during the series, it's still, he knows him. And he also sees what this suit, what this thing is doing to him. And with everything coming back to him and what he was literally just about to do to go help Spider-Man, because we know that, he just thinks, a few, hours ago, he would have reveled in this chance. Killed Peter Parker, killed Spider-Man, whatever the case may be. But now, he knows what he wants. He knows what he's gonna do. And appropriately and completely, he just tells Venom,
Oh, hell no!
and throws one of his Green Goblin bombs straight at Venom. Venom was half not expecting this, but way more not expecting it with Harry. This actually damages him a lot. And Harry just flies away to go find Spider-Man. Meanwhile, Venom still does capture Mary Jane to go along with his initial plan. And Harry confronts Peter and says what he just saw with Venom. And now he wants to help out too, and that he has gotten his mind all sorted out and everything, and he understands and understood what happened fully, even if it did take him literally almost getting killed for it to happen. So now he's here to amend and to help Peter, his best friend. And Peter is not going to turn this down. And we also get Sandman and, Flint, Margot, Sandman, you get the picture. And Harry interacting for the first time. And literally the only time since they fought in canon. But now, all three of them are teamed up together to face Venom. And in case you guys haven't noticed, and it wasn't plainly freaking obvious, Venom, Eddie Brock, he's kind of screwed. Literally and completely. Literally, whenever it was him and Sandman against Harry and Spider-Man, it was an even battle, even if Harry ended up dying. But here, he's completely outclassed, so literally it's no contest, and they wipe the floor with him. But what now? With a literally rushed ending on that department, is and isn't rushed at the same time. What's gonna happen now? Well, there is one more thing left with this story. The thing that makes the second part actually happen, which wasn't out when I made the original outing. No Way Home. Now, with Harry surviving, different things happening in the ending of this third movie's time, and small other minor changes, how is No Way Home going to be affected? And will it make it a deeper No Way Home? Will it end up the same? What will happen to lead into No Way Home?
Why am I asking you all these questions?
Find out next time on the Omniverse of Nick. You guys didn't think this was the end of the video, did you? Well, the Omniverse of Nick has a new feature. A sneak peek at what's next to arrive.
Everyone!
welcome everyone to the Omniverse of Nick and the finale to the two-parter What If Sandman Didn't Join Venom the Remake. Getting into No Way Home specifically, the one part that I didn't include in my original outing. Before we get into that, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the Omniverse of Nick so you can help me grow this channel up, get more awesome stories pumping out to you guys, and just generally support the channel. With that, let's get into the finale of this two-part Marvel special. Like I said, we're going to be getting into No Way Home specifically, which is why the sole reason that there's a remake, because No Way Home in my original outing wasn't out at the time. So the story was pretty much done. There's going to be a change with No Way Home that literally changes and makes this thing possible. Harry Osborn is still alive, meaning I'm going to be including him, not going to be the sole reason for the change, but 90% of it. We get into the beginning. Doc Ock making his appearance in the MCU Spider-Man's timeline, Tom Holland's. And the two of them get into a fight with Green Goblin at the end showing up. Then we get to Spider-Man, Tom Holland, and Doctor Strange's conversation about the box and about the spell getting loose, leading to the both of them fighting. Which honestly, especially with Spider-Man winning against Doctor Strange, honestly made up for one of the coolest freaking fights with Doctor Strange and Spider-Man, like, just as separate characters as a whole. Literally one of the best parts of the movie. The whole movie was a gem, but that's just me getting sidetracked. Anyways, we then get to Sandman and Electro's introduction, with the big change with Sandman, him not being as apprehensive towards Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and that makes for a better conversation between those two. We then get to Norman Osborn meeting Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and the villains finding out that they died. And that whole segment and the rest of it going per normal until we get to the scene where Doc Ock is cured and Tom Holland's Peter finds out about Green Goblin and him being revealed, and the fight inside the apartment going the exact same, along with Tom's Peter, Aunt May passing by Green Goblin's hands. We then get to Ned opening the portals with Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man coming into the play, and then him opening the second portal to not only Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man or Peter Parker arriving, but Harry Osborn along with him. And Andrew's Peter and Tobey's Peter, they still have their short little 10-second fight, which was honestly really cool. And then Andrew's Peter asks who Tobey's Peter's friend is next to him, because for some really interesting reason and confusing reason, he looks familiar. And Tobey's Peter simply says it's his best friend and who once was his kind of enemy, Harry Osborn. And Andrew's Peter looks dumbfounded, angry, and terrified, because then he remembers his Harry Osborn. The Harry Osborn he politely pushed away from giving his blood. The Harry who didn't know his identity, the Harry who teamed up with Electro, and the same Harry Osborn he put behind bars after killing his Gwen, his MJ. And he rushes towards Tobey's Harry Osborn and just starts wailing on him ferociously. That vigor, that rage that he felt after losing Gwen, it's back in him after hearing this. And he just starts wailing on Harry ferociously. But Tobey's Peter uses his webs with a decent amount of effort and just web kicks him as ferociously, well, as hard as he can. Don't want to use the same words too many times. Anyway, Tobey's Peter wants to know after this, what was that all about? It just happened out of nowhere. And Andrew's Peter doesn't respond for a good amount of time. And then he does, but his voice is very broken. And he tells Toby's Peter that in his world, he had a Harry Osborn too, but he wasn't exactly a friend. And explains Gwen and that Harry Osborn in his world killed Gwen. Toby is very surprised and sad to hear this and says, at one point, Harry Osborn here was his enemy too. And even though he didn't lose his MJ, he still lost his Uncle Ben, which wasn't Harry's fault, but that was a whole other thing. Which means that they've all lost something at one point, but it seems that Andrew's Peter here has lost more. But he promises that Harry here, he's not bad. He was just misunderstood and he's had a lot going on with him. So Andrew's Peter looks at Harry Osborn. And Harry just simply walks up to Andrew's Peter, less scared now about getting pummeled again, and simply says, what Toby's Peter right now just said was true. At one point, he was this Peter's enemy, but it was a huge misunderstanding between his father's death and just his own misguided misunderstandings and just things going downhill in a way they really shouldn't have. But it did help him to assist his friend Peter and get a clearer understanding. And he thinks that will really go a long way to this universe's Peter, the Tom Holland Peter. And with that, we get to Tom Holland's Peter with MJ and Ned at the tower. And soon enough, Andrew's Peter and Toby's Peter arriving on the scene to talk to Tom Holland's Peter. I know I'm getting really specific with the Peters, but hey, we all know there's going to be that one guy in the comments like, why aren't you specifying the Peters? So, yeah. And Harry Osborn is there along with them. Andrew's Peter mentions Gwen and losing her, how it made him feel. And Toby's Peter mentions Uncle Ben. And then Harry Osborn decides to speak up too. And he mentions to the main Peter, the MCU one, that he lost someone too. He lost a lot, but the main thing that he lost, the guy that killed this Peter's Aunt May, the guy that's causing so much problems, it was his father, and still technically is, but he never understood the goblin formula. Not until it became too late for him almost, and almost got him killed. And he shows his face, which is still, at this point, I still think it would have marks, even if it were more recovered. But he explains that it almost killed him with how he misjudged how his father was overtaken by the formula. And it almost got him killed. It got him and his Peter's friendship torn apart and messed with his MJ. Well, that Peter's MJ. And he tells this main Peter he doesn't expect him to like him or to trust him, especially since he is the son of his aunt's killer, but he's just telling this Peter that vengeance, it will either corrupt him, kill him, or make him lose someone else. And he thinks that every Peter here has lost something too much. Losing, they should just be done losing and regain what lives they have and work together rather than going down a darker path than all of them already have. And he tells this mainly to this Peter. And even though this doesn't sway the MCU Peter completely, it does make him lighter and doesn't immediately result in him saying after he wants to kill Goblin and tear him apart. He would still say that he wants to either hurt him or kill him, but he wouldn't be as in deep with it because of Harry's influence here. And then he mentions about Aunt May telling him with great power, and then Andrew's and Toby's Peter's saying that Uncle Ben said that great power comes great responsibility thing the day he died, and that whole deal. Harry would just be standing on the sidelines for that part because there's not much he can go with there. We then get the three Peters making the cures, and Harry being there for Toby's Peter to talk about, and more in depth, you know? So that would be nice. And them making the plan about the cures on the tower and talking about their past, the villains and such, with Harry being there. Soon enough, the villains all arrive and the final battle begins. Sandman, aka Flint Marko, is cured, but it's much easier with him being far less apprehensive, as I've stated before, with Harry helping and a much earlier redemption arc for Sandman. Then, Chameleon. Harry takes on Chameleon, and actually, with his glider and his very much so advanced, especially in No Way Home, Goblin gear, well, Harry Goblin gear, is able to actually put up a great fight against Chameleon. So much so that it saves MJ and Ned from getting attacked and keeps them at their location, and they could even close the portal. So that's a good thing there, which I'll mention more in a minute. We then get to Doc Ock curing Electro and helping out the Spider-Mans along with Harry, and then Chameleon getting cured too. Now, here's the little part that I wanted to mention just now. Doctor Strange, because of MJ and Ned staying where they are, that means with Ned not opening another portal, that means that Doctor Strange won't escape yet, and he'll remain at the Grand Canyon where Tom Holland's Peter trapped him. So we won't see him, not yet. Then we get to the big moment. Green Goblin, Norman Osborn, appearing for the final fight. And Harry is the one to personally confront him. With both of their goblin gears, Harry is able to collectively fend off his own father. And then we get to an actual fight between Norman Osborn's Green Goblin and Harry Osborn's Green Goblin, which would be an epic fight. But it is definitely more on the side of Harry in some aspects, being far more advanced with the goblin tech than Norman in many aspects, but not completely. I'm not going to totally downgrade Norman's goblin, not completely. But it is still an epic fight, even if one would be slightly better than the other. Soon enough, Norman's goblin begins to figure out slowly but surely, after some time not really being focused on the matter, who he's actually fighting. It's more or less the goblin persona, but the Norman persona's kind of butting in just a little bit. Anyways, he begins to know that he's fighting against his son. This would be Goblin quoting the son, and calls Harry an insignificant traitor and rat of a son, and basically just starts lambasting him, saying that he should have been dead instead of that Aunt May, or better yet, kill them both together. Basically just tearing into his own son. Well, Goblin mainly. Harry just strikes at him mercilessly until Tom Holland's Peter gets the advantage and cures Norman of the Goblin serum. After that, he gets the box, and it's at that point, since everything's completed, that he frees Strange from the Grand Canyon. And even though Strange would be mad and everything like that, the multiverse did not break as a result of the end of the movie, since he did not show back up. So this means that while it wouldn't exactly sway the Tom Holland's Peter completely about changing up the memories of everybody, it would not make him resort to making everyone forget that he was Spider-Man and all that. So basically that whole end wish that he wished for at the end of the movie, just to restore the multiverse, that's not going to happen. But his original wish and everything most likely would. Either way, it would honestly, even if the wish wasn't granted, make for honestly a better No Way Home result. And with that, the story comes to a close. So what all really changed with this remake? Well, Venom is utterly and completely trounced, much more so than my original interpretation, and No Way Home got to be included, with Harry Osborn being a lot more relevant in the terms of ultimately kind of a better Sandman overall, because he's kind of the point of this what if, and Norman Osborn being dealt with in a much different way. I bet a lot of you thought, oh, you're probably going to make Norman kill his own son or whatever. And I was thinking about that, but ultimately, I just didn't really see it as the best way to finalize the story. And also, I was also thinking about Harry joining Venom like my original interpretation, but I didn't realize that at the time, or pay attention enough to at the time, that Harry finally understood that Peter didn't actually kill his dad. So to make that happen in a remake more detailed would just make my remake pointless, and it would add less, feel to the remake and wouldn't make it better. So ultimately, I think that the story overall was a nice look back into Marvel what-ifs on the channel, and it was a nicely done remake to this little story, even if it was just, originally I thought it was just going to be one and done, but 2 parts? That's pretty freaking impressive for even a small story and everything. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the story and are enjoying my content and everything else on the Omniverse of Nick. And the next story up is What If Jigsaw Was in The Walking Dead. It will be split into 3 categories, and it will be my longest crossover video to date. Now, the other ones haven't included John Cena in The Walking Dead, Jason Voorhees in The Walking Dead, and honestly, I'm pretty sure that's it. I could be mistaken, but anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the story nonetheless, and are looking forward to the Jigsaw one, because it's going to be extra interesting with the traps and the way that Jigsaw will be interpreted into The Walking Dead itself. But with that said, smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next video. You guys didn't think this was the end of the video, did you? Well, the Omniverse of Nick has a new feature. A sneak peek at what's next to arrive.